Concho Sports Insider. Let's get started.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first. Darren takes over, welcome back to our first Concho Sports Insider of this football season, actually of this academic season. I'm Arlen Ponder. He's Darren Prater. He's Chad Miller. We're going to talk some football tonight and, kicking it off. Great to have y'all here. We're back in the studio, and it's great to be football season. We're ready for it.
We're ready. This is, I know San Angelo fans are going to have to excuse me for using something out of the Friday Night Lights book, but the people in the mill dreaming of heroes. That's what this time of year is all about. And the opening was a nod to Gordon Wood, the Brownwood coaching legend who we love, because he used to do a coach's show and it started right like it. All right, let's see. Just start reading.
That's Coach. That was Coach.
Go down the script.
That was Coach, and then it went completely off the rails from there because that man knew football.
He did. One time he had to pause and break up a fight between two of the DJs at the radio station. He came back and said, all right, we got that broke up, and went right back with it. They're fighting, hang on. Dead air.
Yep.
Never disappoint.
Worst thing in radio. Hey, so we're going to talk about Wall Mason. We're going to talk about Central and Abilene High. We're going to talk about Fort Stockton and Lakeview. We're going to talk about Cristoval and El Dorado, that great matchup. We're going to talk about the Polar Bear Bowl. The
Ice Bowl.
The Ice Bowl, the Winter Bowl. Frost and Winters are playing. So we're going to talk about that. Great Creek and San Saba are playing. And I think that's all we've got. But the big one we want to talk about is one that has great implications in our area, Wall and Mason. Wall coming in at number 3, Mason coming in at number 12. Those punchers really want to upset the Hawks, who are predicted to win state this year by a lot of people, including some of us. And that's not just because we're homers, that's because that team them boys good. So we're going to see. The rivalry goes back to 1972. Last year, Wall was 13-2. Last year, the punchers were 11-2. Wall ended in semifinals round, almost making it to the playoffs, but they ran into that buzzsaw. Who was that team they ran into?
Well, they got past Brock.
Yeah, they got past Brock, and they got past Canadian for the first time.
Man.
So that Air Canada, they got past it.
It was Gunter.
Gunter.
Oh, man.
Gunter, and that's a good team. So they ran into that buzzsaw, and watching that game, it was just a reload. It wasn't, a kid would go out, they would load back up. It wasn't a complete and total domination, but they just kind of ran out of gas. They kept firing and firing. It was like the Russians running at the folks. So, just keep running.
They get so close, just knock on that door every year. They did it in baseball. They've done it in basketball. It's football time for Wall to get that title. If they get so close. I know it's frustrating, but they should be right in the mix of it as usual.
Oh, absolutely. When last year's outcome, Wall just dominated the punchers 28-6. It was this same opening weekend last year. Some of the standouts were Landon York, Briggs Jones. Let's see who else. Barbie. And on the defense, that defense just dominated those punchers. So what do you guys think? What do we got here?
Well, man, like you said, this goes back a long way. I remember one year Mason got the win, got the state berth. Mm-hmm. And then the next year it was on Fox Sports with those amateurs. It was before we could live stream. They broadcast Mason and Wall like a 0-week thing, and Wall got that payback big time. I think Wall should probably win this, but it won't be easy. It never is.
I don't think it's going to be easy. Chad, what do you think?
It's actually kind of crazy just how we look at this game, right? Because obviously, yes, at the end of the day, final scores really matters. But I remember sitting in the studio here when I was getting ready to call Lakeview and Fort Stockton. Well, of course, the Chiefs were on the road last year. Mm-hmm. I remember watching the game just in my peripherals as I'm covering the game, and it wasn't like a complete just domination. It was more like it was really back and forward defensively, and then we saw just Wall just finally see the depth and the talent really exposed and really pulled away at the end. So I really wouldn't be surprised to see another matchup like it, or even if this just becomes a nail biter, being one of those close matchups where it's going to come down to maybe who scores last or whose defense falters first.
Yeah, Coach Slaughter's got that team. You know, they went from running that the veer offense, and now he's spread it out. And so you would think that there would be some lag or something, but there's not. They just picked back up and they've gone with it, and it's a great, continuing that great tradition. And just had the baseball team in here last year that won state, and you see those kids kind of like Central. Those baseball players are playing football, and they're enjoying that. And then you got the track kids that are running. You know, our old friend Larry Hulsher says, run the ring in the spring so you can tote the ball in the fall. And that's very true at Wall. And Coach Smith, going on to talk about, Central, Coach Smith, we had our show with him Monday night, and he said the same thing, that he wants those kids involved. But
absolutely wants them to be multi-sport athletes. Some coaches, well, really more back in the day were against that, but anymore it's pretty well accepted.
Yeah, and going back to the Wall district, Chad, what do you got on them? Because you talked about you have them Wall finishing first, Kahoma second, Stanton third, Grape Creek, and Merkel? Is that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly. You just covered the bases. You know, when it comes to looking at the district as a whole, it's hard not to pick Wall to repeat. They've been so successful as a program for at least in my time of being here in San Angelo. Of course, that's since 2019. I know y'all know it longer than that. Nonetheless, they've been so great. But after that, it's more just a battle for second place.
Yeah.
We kind of saw a clash with Coahoma and Stanton, and then it kind of falters after that with Grape Creek, and unfortunately Merkel having that 0 season last year. It's always hard to bounce back, especially in high school football. Whenever you have those unsuccessful seasons, having to bounce back to at least achieve something, whether it's nothing. Now, obviously for Merkel, they obviously just want to get a victory. I know it's always tough being able to go from 0 to have to, oh, hey, you went 0 last year. What do you got this year? Yep. So, but after that, again, going back to Coahoma and Stanton, some battle there for second place. But Wall, it's hard. This is Wall's district to lose,
right,
in my eyes.
I think you're accurate on that. And we're going to talk about Grape Creek playing San Saba here in a little bit. My favorite mascot in the world. So, but
Dillos.
The Dillos, yep. So, Darren, what do you have on Central? You did all your work on Central. What do we have?
We're going to learn a lot about this team tomorrow night, live on Concho Sports Network. For sure. We're going to learn a lot about their opponent. We've heard a lot, but we will see how this reloaded Central Bobcats team with a lot of talent coming back, and a lot of those guys at skill positions are just juniors. We'll see how they stack up against an Abilene squad that is loaded. A little bit of questions at wide receiver, but they have two guys that can play quarterback really, really good, and they are ranked number 5 in the state. I think good old Dave Campbell's here had them at 9. They're top 10 team in 5A. So Central, right off the bat, gets to go up against a top 10 team. So we'll find out what they're made of. Everybody's got a game plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Yeah, you hit the mouth,
like Mike Tyson said. And we'll see. Last season, we lost to them, and it looks pretty bad. I want to make sure I get the right score. It was 60-36, but Abilene scored a lot in the last 6 minutes.
Well, and that game was a lot closer. You and I called it. That game was a lot closer than you would think. And then it was just kind of, people got, it was, don't want to say Central got tired, but, Abilene, that quarterback, wasn't Braden Henry, it was the other
Serrano.
It was Serrano, and he just ran them down and just continued, and you kept hitting, and kind of like Squeaky kept running. What Squeaky had almost,
He had a lot. There was a scoop and score that Abilene got toward the end.
Yeah.
And then another drive. So it looked like it was out of hand, but the Bobcats, just like last season, came very close to some all-time historic comebacks, but they didn't turn that corner on the comebacks, but they did get more wins for the first time in a while. They got that first win for the first time in a while against the Abilene Cougars.
Yeah.
Coach Mark Smith's alma mater went over there and ruined their homecoming at Shotwell. And that's a program that turned a corner. That one win got them. They got on a good little streak there.
They did. And then, you went on to see Abilene. I forget how they finished, but
They were runners-up behind Monterey, who's going to be good this season. They kind of snuck up. They were by-district finalists, but this year, no, they were area finalists last season. And they were very good. They didn't get the outright district title, but they're really loaded, starting with Braden Henry, record-setting rusher at quarterback. He's a big-time dual threat for these guys, and he's not the only one. We got a Strahan, two Strahans. I mean, no relation probably to Michael Strahan, but still.
they play D. They're playing D line, and
They play a 3-4.
yeah, and they're playing a 3-4 there. And Coach Smith talked about that 3-4, and go and check out what Coach Smith had to say. Always enjoy talking to him at Shenanigans with the Coaches Insider Show, and he knows he's a genius. He's a mad scientist. He works through it. I bet he stays up at night watching tape and just every single little step. I can see him doing that. But I'm telling you, we got some good Central kids, like those juniors from last year. We got the Missile.
Mason Van Sickle, we call him the Van Missile.
Yep.
Now, if the other linebackers we'll talk about who are very good, if those guys can be the hammer, we will have the sickle. And you know what happens when the hammer and the sickle get together? The People's Bobcats.
Yep.
The People's Bobcats Republic of Boom.
There you
That's
go.
what it is.
Yep. New quarterback this year, Squeaky English gone. Micah Smith taking over.
Trial by fire.
Trial by
These
fire.
Abilene guys, I mean, they have linebackers, real disciplined tackler in Skylar Famoa, Jaden Starks, Trey Shaw. That Starks is a really inspirational leader, motivator, aggressive presence. I mean, they got a lot of talent coming. Maybe at receiver, they had to start over a bit because they had D1 receiver last season.
Yeah, was he a Tech? Did he go to Tech? I forget where he went. He went D1 for sure.
So they're going to have to fill that up a little bit, but the defense is going to have to be on them from the beginning, and don't let this team get ahead of you. Get some stops, and they can sure do it. I mean, Mason Van Sickle, he's making his presence known as one of the best in the West Texas area, probably the best linebacker, but he's not by himself on defense. Jacob Jackson. You know, we have a defensive back and a linebacker, a Jackson.
Yeah.
First name Jackson, last name Jackson, the double action Jacksons. And Jacob Jackson will be one of the linebackers on the offensive line. Riley Onis is looking really good. We got Tucker Beatty, Kason Jastro. You know, we remember him from the 8th grade showdown, as we do Jackson Kennedy, who was the quarterback, now a defensive back, and he packs quite a wallop. So they have a lot of guys coming back, and they're not even seniors.
Not a lot of them. And one of the sophomores, Xavier Johnson, took over the running back role during the spring ball. So he's going to come in and he's going to play a huge part, and runs downhill. He squares those shoulders up and he's downhill and gone. And a bruiser, not afraid to block, not afraid to get dirty.
And he's a bully ball guy, and that's what Coach Smith wants to do. He wants to come out there and establish that running game early.
Yep.
Run, and then hit them with some play action, and they're even doing some option.
Oh, yeah, he said that they're doing a little option. So,
mad scientist.
Hey, I'm telling you, mad scientist. Now, there's one kid I want to point out, and I will point him out all year. Caleb Holbert. He was one of my former students at TLCA. He could boom kicks then. He set out last year. He transferred to Central, set out last year, played on JV, and was nailing kicks. We saw him practicing during spring ball, I think, and he was killing it. So he's going to be punting and kicking. He can put that ball out of the back end of the end zone. I'm anxious to see what his leg is. Last year we were watching a game and forgot the
his
kicker.
Predecessor.
Yeah, kicked a 65-yarder in practice before the game. Now, granted, he had a little wind with him, but he still had the leg to kick it. So Central's always had those good kickers, and once again, they're going to have a good kicker in Caleb Holbert.
We had Chase Miller several years ago. So the last two kickers have been good and a very solid kicking game. So it's Caleb Holbert's turn. Of course, they had him on JV last season because they wanted him to get to kick some because we already had a good varsity kicker. So
Well,
it's
and
gonna be his turn.
he was also a transfer, so
Right.
that made it almost impossible. But let's talk about that district. Chad, where do you see that district going?
Hey,
You
guys,
know-
go ahead. I just wanted to say, on the subject of kicker, I think it's the last time we beat Abilene. I just want to
Was a
set the
field goal.
stage for this. Abilene had it inside the 5, like second down, like a minute and a half to go. They fumbled it. Central drives down there, and as time expires, field goal. You never know what's going to happen at Shotwell.
That's
Okay,
right.
Let's talk about that.
All right, let's see that district.
So I want you to bear with me, all right? So
Okay.
obviously, as a Central Texas native, I learned a whole lot of things during research for this week's show. One is the fact that I didn't even realize Central was 6A. Sorry, didn't know. I went to 3A, 4A, and eventually 5A schools. I think that now both my high schools I went to are 5A now, and that's not the point. So bear with me. But first and foremost, probably the one that's a little obvious, I have Odessa. The Bronchos, I have at the bottom, of course, they were last in district last year. They're near the bottom, only 2 wins last year.
Yeah.
Not the best. So again, as I mentioned during the wall segment, it's hard for those bottom feeders to have to come up a little bit, but it's possible nonetheless. Still got it there. And then I got Midland. I have the Bulldogs of Midland, second to last. Now you're probably wondering why. They're an 8-win team last year. They had a lot. Well, they're the team that has the lowest in returning starters. They're returning 4 starters total. That is 2 on offense, 2 on defense. That is a lot of guys to ask to fill in roles. Now, obviously, sure, if the coaching is good enough, maybe these guys learned from their seniors last year. Is it possible? Absolutely. But it makes it a lot more difficult to try to win games with these other schools that are returning 10, 11, some of them nearly 15 starters from last year.
Absolutely.
Right? And then, of course, I do have Central, one spot better than last year. I know it's a little big ask. I know, I see your look.
We'll see.
We'll see. Obviously, I want them to be great. Obviously, somebody who has a little bit of a biased view now, living here in San Angelo, I do want them to be great. But when you have these other schools ahead of them, it's so tough to compete and so tough to... These are going to be battle games left, right, and center. They're all going to be massive dogfights, and we'll see it. Moving on to next spot, third place, Odessa Permian. I know that's kind of where the really big flip could be win those spots in my eyes, just because they're both very solid programs, very solid, teams as a whole. So we'll see there. And then, of course, I have now Midland Lee. Of course, formerly known as Legacy, Midland
Now
Lee.
back to Lee.
Now back to Lee.
One of the Legacy and formerly known as Lee. Now back to Lee, like the artist formerly known as Lee.
Yep, there you go.
Exactly.
The
Now-
school formerly known as Lee.
Now, this is actually kind of interesting to me because, of course, Dave Campbell's Texas football has Lee winning the district
Right.
in their rankings. But in my eyes, it's just one of those things where you kind of just have to see what happens. Of course, you're returning 7 and 8 starters on offense and defense, respectively. But, 6 and 6 in non-district play, but then 4 and 1 district. So that's kind of the odds and ends. Sure, they may have a tough non-district schedule, but again, this district, I believe, is going to be a lot of dogfights, a lot of back and forth. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 to 5 is going to be different. I wouldn't be surprised if Central ends up 2. I wouldn't be surprised if Odessa Permian ends up jumping everybody. But then, of course, winning and repeating, I do have Friendship. Again, when you're top of the world, it's not a lot of teams has a massive fall from grace. If Friendship does trip in this district, it's going to be the second. I don't see him dropping below that. But again, going back, I would not be surprised if 1 through 4 is just a massive flip. It's with 6A football, we've seen it firsthand that things can change. And of course, I could be completely wrong. For all we know, Odessa could just come out of nowhere and say, hey, remember us? We weren't very good last year, but we're here now. So that's kind of where I have it. Once again, just a little 1 through. Friendship to repeat, Lee, Permian, Central, Midland High, and Odessa High.
And see, the way I have it Friendship, Mojo, Lee, Central, Midland, Odessa.
Yeah.
But I think you're accurate in saying that 2 to 5 is going to be anybody. I think it could be any given Sunday, any given Friday, we're going to be able to see a good and once we get into the Little Southwest Conference, it's going to be good football. If you're sitting at home and going, it's not going to be that good of a game. No, it's going to be good football. Even with Odessa and Midland High, it's going to be good football because there's a reason why we call it the Little Southwest Conference.
And everybody's going to get a trial by fire. Several teams. First of all, Central taking on a top 10 team in 5A in Abilene. Odessa Permian is up at Frisco at the Star, taking on Plano tomorrow night. And Midland Lee, we'll find out what they're holding because they get to take on the Allen Eagles.
Oh, wow.
So, and Abilene going to play Permian and Lee pre-district too. So they've got a gauntlet of 2 6A teams they're going to have to get through. It's going to be entertaining.
It's insane. When I was doing research for this segment in particular, of just seeing the non-district schedule for these 6A programs, knowing that, of course, I'm living in Texas my whole life, born and raised, knowing all these schools' names from growing up, knowing the legacy of Allen, DeSoto, all these other programs, and just seeing how big they've become to be 6A programs. Of course, 6A in general just being massive. It's just a whole new ballgame.
Now bringing up another topic, not something we'll probably do a show on eventually. There's talk that there's a 7A district that they want to form with teams like Allen, teams like DeSoto, teams like Duncanville, some of those massive schools.
But here's the counter. 6A is already an exclusive club.
Oh, yeah.
There's not very many schools that are 6A. We flipped through this book. 6A has a lot of pages just because there's so much information, so much eyes on 6A. But then we go through, and there were so many 4A, 3A, 2A, and eventually 6-man football that in here that, there's so much to cover. How are we going to get to a 7A?
And there's schools that are moving, I'm thinking of the one that Brownwood lost to a couple of years ago. West Plains, I think it was.
I'm not sure. They're playing Wiley tomorrow night. That's going to be a good
Brownwood's
game.
playing Wiley, but that I think it's West Plains, Lubbock West Plains. But whenever Sammy and I were talking at one point, he said, no, they're going to move up. They're going to move up to 5A. So, there's schools that are growing. There's schools that I look for Brock to probably go up again. But, we're digressing here.
I just wanted to mention, though, for the Bobcats, Micah Smith, quarterback, he's going to get the start. If need be, Colton Hill can do that too, but he's a heck of a receiver. Jimmy Edwards is back. Gavin Johnson, Kasner Stribling.
Yeah.
Got some receivers. I think this is going to be a fun show.
And Coach Smith said he's going to line up, could be 3 tight ends, 2 side end sets. He just, mad scientist. He throws out all kinds of stuff where you just don't go, you're not going to be able to just go, oh, okay, well, I know what they're going to run here.
Right.
Because he's going to throw a wrinkle at you.
He's a riverboat gambler.
A couple things the first thing, for y'all that may just be your childhood, for me, that's Big Ten football right there. 3 tight ends out there and just let it go crazy.
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
Me being the youngster that I am, that's a little unlikely to see it in today's world. And also, if you're looking for a Lubbock team from a couple years ago, maybe Lubbock Estacado.
No.
Maybe who it was?
No. It was West Plains. I'm pretty sure it was West.
They did play at Wichita Falls
West Plains.
2022.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was West Plains.
Gotcha.
But don't hold me to that. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Tell you guys something.
What you got?
This is 1990s on a Friday night in Brownwood doing the radio scoreboard show.
Well, okay,
Hey, it's Coach Wood. Y'all talked about that enough. Y'all move on.
Yeah, I can hear Coach.
Okay, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Let's
Onward
move on to Fort Stockton and Lakeview. It's a home game for Lakeview. Chad will be there tomorrow night. Who's doing that game with you, Chad?
I know I've heard a couple names get tossed at me. It might be my boy Arthur, who was there with me during the talk show on Monday. I'm still getting final word on that.
Okay.
Nonetheless, whoever it is, I'm sure it's going to be a fun time. I know I'm going to have a great time, and especially with a game such as this, where our friends in another media department gave us some information. This is a coin flip of a game with Fort Stockton and Lakeview. Last year, it was back and forth battle all the way to the end. I was on color for that game, not going to be play-by-play for it. And it was just a back and forth battle. And of course, it helps, or what didn't help was the weather delay. There was a rain delay during the game. Prior to the game starting, it was bad weather back and forth. There was mistakes left and right. But nonetheless, it was only a 3-point loss. It was one of the 4 3-point losses that Lakeview suffered last year. And that just goes to show what this team is capable of.
Talking about turning that corner, you just got to turn that corner just a little bit and get past some of those.
That's all it is.
And it's the difference of 3 and out. It's a difference of punting whenever it's you can go for it on fourth and a couple, things like that. And I don't know those scenarios because we didn't talk about that. But Lakeview last year 2-9.
Yeah.
But hey, look, it was turning that corner. They're in a rebuilding year. I did hear my wife teaches at Lincoln, and she said that the dress-up day tomorrow is construction for Lakeview.
Okay.
That's what their theme is, construction, because they're building a winner or
Building a legacy.
building a legacy. I forget
something.
what it was, but it was building.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Coach Guevara there, he's there again this year, and he's got Tony Cortez. I think has come back as the DC.
Derek
That used to
Allenbar.
be a Dublin
Allenbar is the OC.
baseball coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DC,
Yeah.
Cortez OC.
Yeah. and-
OC. I got those
it
back
kinda
and
flipped.
forth.
It's all good,
Sorry.
nonetheless. But what's great about this? I was talking to a couple of the players, interior linebacker Isaac Monreal and left tackle Misael Rodello. Both of these gentlemen, first off, well-spoken young man. It was a great time to talk to him. Of course, talked to Isaac a couple times last year during the Chief Insider stuff.
Right.
But something that they saw, and you mentioned turning the corner. They saw it. They knew. They understood. Hey, we were 2-9, but we were 4 one-score games away from being the 6-5, from
Right.
being 6-4, whatever it might be. And they see it. They recognize it. 70% of the roster returns this year.
Oh, wow.
This is a senior-led team, a bunch of upperclassmen. I was counting it out whenever I was getting ready my notes ready for tomorrow. There's only one sophomore on this team. Everybody else is senior, juniors. Upper class heavy, and of course I know it's a lot of varsity rosters, but it means something more here. And then return of quarterback Christopher Alviso, he just got shoved into this role. He was just going to be the backup. He was going to be the backup and play defense, but he got shoved when their senior leader quarterback last year got hurt in the second quarter. And he was out for the rest of the season, and it thrusted Alviso into this spotlight where he ended up throwing over 2,100 yards and almost 30 touchdowns.
Wow.
And
he threw that many.
And knowing that that's what this offense is capable of, with the arsenal of weapons he has, receiver Braylon White amongst others, and not to mention some of these guys play on both sides of the ball. Christian Esparza is one of the guys who's a star DB on this defense, but he's a receiver. He runs the ball. Isaiah Rios, they're kicking. There's so much that's a factor for this game, and this is why I think it's a coin flip of a game, because despite all this positives for Lakeview, we look at Fort Stockton, right? And there's a new head man. Their quarterback that was mentioned in the Texas Football Bible is no longer there, Cash Norman. It's a guy who was a running back for them last year.
Right.
And so it's a whole lot of new things, and it's still crazy to me that this game is a coin flip, and that's how much you have to respect Fort Stockton.
Well, let's throw this also out there. That new head coach at Fort Stockton, and I thought I had his name, and I don't seem to have it, but he came from Sterling City. So he went from Sterling City. So he's gone from, what was that, a 2A school to now he's a 4A school. A little bit of adjustment there. But his defense, he's got a heavy senior roster, just like Lakeview. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. You've got Diaz there at quarterback, Lavea there, one of the offensive linemen. Returning 16 seniors.
Yeah, returning 16
Very
seniors.
similar programs there.
No, very much so. And for Fort Stockton, they're returning 8 starters with 5 on offense, 3 on defense. And the man you're looking for, DJ Howell, the new head man at Fort Stockton. And it's crazy that just this back and forth of how much of a dogfight this game can be, knowing that this is what was the last place team for Lakeview, and then the 4th place team out of a 5-team district for Fort Stockton, of how much of a great matchup this can be tomorrow night.
Well, and talking about that, they go in, let's say Lakeview goes in and they beat Fort Stockton. That might be, and leading into where District 3 4A is going to fall, that might be enough to push them into going, hey, we've got the confidence. And confidence is contagious.
Oh, it's fantastic.
People that aren't in sports don't realize how much confidence it is to walk off the field and go, you know what, we took that punch in the mouth, and next week we're gonna punch somebody back. But Chad, where do you got that division?
So 14 districts. So of course, as a lot of people who are in the know all teams make the playoffs. But let's ignore that for a second. Now this is gonna be a very similar setup to where we have with Central, but I do have in the bottom I have Pecos, right? I don't have Lakeview going last. I have them third. Now here's why. Obviously, in district play, you finish your district ranking based on how you did in districts. There's only 4 teams. I mean, literally outside of Andrews, who I do have winning it, repeating as district champions, anything can happen between 2 and 4. It's absolutely crazy that you have all these games. And here, I'll read you a little bit of Lakeview's schedule. Obviously, repeated last year. At home for Fort Stockton, at Snyder, at La Mesa, Lubbock at home, Levelland at home, Barnett at home, at Brownfield, at Pecos, at Big Spring, and of course finish the season at home for Andrews. And again, as we mentioned, 4 games or the difference between 2 and 9 and 6 and 5 or whatever that other math is, right?
Right.
And a couple of those games.
We don't math.
Oh yeah, no math. Right. And a couple of those games being Big Spring and Pecos.
Right.
Like the 2 district games that could have easily changed between you finishing 4th in district or 2nd.
And that last game of the season, wouldn't it be great if that was for the district title?
It would be phenomenal. Now, of course, it'd be a big ask, as of course the result of last year being a 65-7 thrashing from Andrews to Lakeview.
Right.
But it would be phenomenal knowing that, hey, the confidence you mentioned, Snyder, who they played next week on the road, but hey, 6-point game.
Right.
Very much possible. You beat La Mesa. Lakeview has a chance to go come back home to face Lubbock Westerners, Levelland, and Burnett, all at home, 3-0. There is a certain possibility, and my goodness, if they can get out of that with a winning record, look out, Chiefs are coming.
Oh yeah. So and I have it the same way. Andrews, Big Spring, Lakeview, and Pecos. But I think that 2 and 3 could be an easy swap.
Oh yeah.
Andrews, they've always got kids, big kids. They just reload. Zach Carlock, he and I talked about it several times, how they just continue to reload.
Yeah.
Now, talking about another thing that Darren and I were a part of a few years ago, Cristoval. Oh, back up. All of those games, Lakeview, Central, Wall, you're going to see them live on Concho Sports Network right here. So be sure and get your popcorn, get ready, because it's going to be fun this year. I'm excited.
It is, and I've met people who think I want to stream it. Where do you do that? Is it free? I'm like, yeah, it's free. They just hadn't discovered yet that you can watch these games if you can't make it. Know a lot of people from Central. We're going to line up and we're going to get the mobile studio going.
Yep.
And we are going to
be there.
Abilene ready for war.
Yep.
Cristoval had a dang good time a couple years ago at Jack Pardee Stadium when they defeated El Dorado that season. But I had done games before that it went the other way when El Dorado won district. Golly, it's been a while ago, like 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
They won it since then, but that was the game we did on Concho Sports back when you had to tape it and you couldn't watch it until the next day. But thank goodness the rules have changed.
Well, and you and I did one where we sat on the track and it was great. And the fans, I love this rivalry. El Dorado's won it the last 2 years. 2023 they won it 26-12, and then in 2024 they won it 20-13. Now. It's a bitter rivalry.
It'll be packed.
They're 28 miles apart.
Yeah,
and they absolutely, if you can't tell it, it's like Brownwood, Stephenville. They hate each other.
Dublin, De Leon. They're right up the road. You know them, they know you.
Yeah.
And they'll sneak over and try to date the girls at their school.
There you go.
And boy, that's terrible.
Yep.
To lose to them and see them run off with the girls.
Yep.
It's a personal thing. You have kids playing both ways. They play the whole game. It's war.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't just.
It's
sit
Iron
out
Man
half of
football.
it. And that's your mark on that town. People will remember it.
That's right.
Yeah.
New head coach in the Cougs, our good friend Otho. Took the principal's job at the middle school. Got some time. We're gonna try to get him to come to work for us. So
That was great, man.
Yep. Taylor McLean is his name. He's a first-year coach. He's a former DC from Comanche. team we're familiar with, our neck of the woods, the Indians there. But Colt Floyd, he's a junior by my calculations, and Israel Boggs, he's a senior. So you've he's versatile. Colt's versatile, leads the defense, and he is named the team's recap headlines for his defensive leadership. Named in the team recap headlines for his team leadership. He's just a stud football player, and from what I understand from one of my friends out there, he's a lot like the Sickle, the Van Missel.
Oh, yeah, the Van Missel, huh?
Yeah, he just flies to the ball real quick and wants to get in and play some nasty ball, which is what you want. On the El Dorado side, their coach is in his second year. He's been a long-time assistant there and was the DC for a while. I think he's been there like 19 years or 18 years, 7 of which he was the defensive coordinator. William Robledo. And they're running a spread offense. He's opened it up. He's spread it out. But they have Johnny Ray Adame is a quarterback. And that's this year. Next year, he's turning the ball over to Aiden Hernandez, who everything that I've read said that there's a good possibility that they might run a 2-quarterback system. I doubt it, but the old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. That's no longer the case anymore. You got 2 quarterbacks, you never know. Yep, situational. So I think that's going to be a great game. Wished we were doing it, but
always fun, man.
It's always fun
is
to
it
go.
Jack Pardee Stadium or is it El Dorado?
I believe
it's in El Dorado.
It's in El Dorado, yeah. Okay. It's in El Dorado. So, so there's that one, and we will sure keep you caught up. Mm-hmm. Chad does a good job of it. I do a good job of it. Russ does a good job of it at Wall. If you're watching those games, we keep you updated pretty close because we're tracking that whole thing. Mm-hmm. Couple of other things. Let's talk San Saba and Grape Creek. San Saba, those Armadillos are coming to play the Eagles there in Grape Creek. San Saba beat Grape Creek last year 14-2. In a non-district opener.
By the way, it's a wild score.
Yeah,
it is. It's like, what are we playing, baseball here?
And San Saba's picked second in Mason's district, where Mason is picked to be the district champ. San Saba's right behind them. The Armadillos should be very good this season. Yeah, for San Saba coach Andreas Aguirre. He's a former DC. He led the Armadillos last year in his first year to a 6-5 record. And Coach Grape at Grape Creek, Tanner Till, is in his 9th season. And if I pronounce that wrong, Coach, I think I got that right. I think I've memorized that. But he's in his 9th season. They always play the underdog. They love to play the underdog role. And it's coming. I think maybe they might be somebody, of course, you're playing in that Wall district where everything is topsy-turvy. You know who's probably going to steal that district. But Grape Creek can embarrass some folks this year, and I think that they have some size. They have some meanness that they're bringing back, and I think that it'll be a pretty good game. Anything?
No, I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head, but Grape Creek kind of has their work cut out for them, of course, coming off a 4-7 season last year. They do have a little bit to work with here, but as you mentioned, if there is some size and we see more leadership step up, we see the team get used to it. Now, of course, we mentioned the question mark, potential changes when it comes to maybe scheme-wise, but nonetheless, it's very much possible for the Eagles to be able to pull out a W.
Are they at Grape Creek or San Saba? Because with San Saba, the graveyard.
No, they're not in the graveyard.
Oh, you got to be careful.
They're out there.
You'll be running down the field, and all of a sudden somebody will grab you by the leg.
Some body will reach up and grab you.
Graveyard.
Michael Jackson Thriller.
It happens in San Saba.
I can attest to that. I've seen strange things happen where you're like, what in the world was that? Okay, well, let's talk about one that we just threw out. Miles. Mm-hmm. Miles, who are they playing this week? Miles is Sonora.
There's the area. We're all right here.
Albany's going to win whoever they're playing.
But Sonora haven't really done much on them this year. Haven't looked at them a lot. But I know that coach down there, he's always got them ready to play. They're always tough. And those Broncos, they're another red and white Bronco. And the battle of the red and whites. It's this week. I think they're playing in Sonora.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Sonora is a dang good team here in the Remember Jaime Boutron?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Laban Hall, they had the rivalry in the playoffs with Hawley. You got to play them twice. It's one of those teams.
And Hawley went on to win state that year, I
They did.
think. So
Well, Hawley won one division. Albany won the other.
won the other, yeah.
Hawley won the head-to-head earlier in the season, but still, it was early and it was close. But 2 state champs from that area.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. Go ahead, Chad.
What is a little crazy about this? I'm looking at the schedule from last year, of course. A little bit got tossed on us. Got a little research on the fly. Looking at last year, Miles was a 32-14 game in Miles. So, of course, not exactly the matchup the result that Sonora wanted. But then, hear this. Johnson City, they only lose by 1, 35-36. But then, listen to these. El Dorado at home, 41-zip win. Alpine at Alpine, 35-8. At McCamey, 40-14. Forson, 52-0. Sonora has the offense.
Oh, yeah.
They have the ability to score, and if they can just avoid a slow start in this little speed bump, we may see a battle, may see a little bit of a dogfight here. And
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see how the game develops on tomorrow night.
We want to kick a shout out also. Our good friend Jeff Corinne now is coaching at Miles. I think he's coaching girls volleyball. I saw that they're kicking tail. Good job, coach. And, by the way, my Steelers are going to kill your Jets. But anyways.
That's a bold prediction. Both these teams' trajectories went last year.
Steel curtain, baby.
You got to remember, you just picked up the quarterback.
We got the old man throwing the ball.
one that you love so much.
The one that okay, let's talk some polar bear. Let's
Waiting on this,
Ice Bowl.
guys.
Sorry,
Ice Bowl.
Let's talk some
Perfect.
The Frost Polar Bears at the Winter's Blizzard.
This
Yes,
is the
and you got to
two
hear his.
undefeated mascots. These are the mascots. Nobody's going to beat those 2 mascots together. A blizzard, as far as mascots go, nobody's going to beat it. There's nothing that will beat a blizzard. A hippo freeze to death. The only thing that can survive a blizzard is a polar bear.
Yeah.
That's the only. Technically, if you want to set it up, there's a dragon going to freeze. It won't have any fire. It'll freeze. It'll become ice. So
I know.
you can't beat a blizzard, but a polar bear can thrive in a blizzard.
Being from Central Texas, I know it all too well. Look, it's a mythical creature. A unicorn can survive anything, okay?
There
New
you go.
Braunfels, the
New
unicorns.
Braunfels, yeah.
But nonetheless, the Ice Bowl, what's crazy about this, the computer system that we have from our friends who gave us this information has this as a 20-point spread. Now, obviously, we do not encourage betting on high school games. We're just using this as a template to be able to pick games. So please, no betting, especially in high school games. Come on now, what are we doing there?
Yeah.
But despite there being a 1-point win for Frost last year, there's a 20-point spread. With Frost having those points on the road at Winters.
Right.
I understand, obviously, this may not be college football, this may not be the NFL, but you have to anticipate, a 1-point game last year. How much of a team had changed for it to be a 20-point spread when you're at home? You're a 20-point underdog at home.
Well, and I think if I remember right, Winters is lost a lot of players.
I'm sure that has to be what it is. It has to be like the Midland situation where they only have like 2 4-starters total returning.
Yeah, and we just love to talk about. I love to talk about it because I love to hear Darren's whole take on the mascots
Two
fighting.
together, the polar bear will eat what's left.
So anyway,
It's in the same time.
yeah.
But part of this show, of course, is for us to be able to pick these games. So I'm gonna run through it just for the sake of recording it. I'll write it down later. But we'll just go down the line. Of course, we're starting with Central and I'm not sure. I'm gonna ask our director here. We have these numbers for the spread. Are we just picking winner? Or are we picking against the spread?
Abilene picked by 22.
Picking a winner?
Yeah, pick a
Okay.
winner.
We're picking a straight up winner. Central Abilene on the road at Abilene. We talked a whole lot in depth here. I'm assuming we're going to have the biased picks here, but who do y'all have winning the matchup?
We're gonna whoop them. We're gonna whoop them.
The Angry Orange.
We're gonna whoop them.
I want to say Angry Orange. Coach Smith, don't kill me, but I think that Abilene team, ranked number 5, is so good.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be Abilene running away with it. I don't think it's a 29-point spread.
29-point spread.
I don't think it's going to be 29. I think it may be 6 or 7, but I think Central's going to come out and they're going to surprise a lot of people this year.
I want that to happen too. So you're picking Abilene. Is what
I'm going to say
You're picking
Abilene, yeah.
So I too am going to pick Abilene, but I agree with you, but I think it's going to be 14 points at the end of the day. I think it's going to be close, one-score game, and then probably like a garbage time touchdown at the end to really seal the deal.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's going on. Moving on to the next one, of course, the game I'm calling tomorrow night at San Angelo Stadium. Come out if you're in town. Fort Stockton visiting the Chiefs, San Angelo Stadium. Again, this is a coin flip. There was not a spread here. It's a coin flip. Obviously, we see the odds and ends of things. 3-point contest last year. What are we thinking, boys?
I'm going to go ahead and go with Lakeview at a close one.
I think I'm going to take Lakeview, and I don't think it's going to be as close as we think.
For the sake of me calling the game tomorrow, I sure hope so too.
Yeah.
I too am taking the Chiefs. I will be the biased commentator in that game, but nonetheless, we move on.
Hold on, Damon, are you watching? If you are, all three of us, and I think Russ also took the Chiefs to win. So there you go.
There we go. And we will be keeping track of these. Each week we'll be able to show you all how we're doing on the season. Moving on, the Mason Punchers, of course, on the road to visit the Wallhawks. A 15-point game last year. The spread is 18 in favor of the Hawks.
That's about right.
I'm picking the Hawks. I have them winning the district. I think they win this one. It is a very fantastic matchup. 3-12. Ranked teams, of course, the ranking from our last check sources. Yeah, I just think it's going to be the Hawks. But I would not be surprised if this game is a bit closer than last year.
I think it's going to be a lot like the Abilene Central game last year. I think it's going to be tight. But then I think there's too much wall. There's too much talent out there. There's too much mystique with it.
Yeah.
The Punchers aren't what they were the last decade, I don't think. So I think Wall is going to own this. They're going to own it, but I think it's going to be the 29-point.
Yeah, Wall will win pretty big. I want to say the only football game I've ever done was with a female playing for one of the teams was when Wall played Mason like 4 or 5 years ago. When I did Wall play-by-play, and Mason had a defensive back, a female, and she played good. They put her in. It was kind of cool. That was a good memory. I wanted to say, but Wall's going to win. Yeah,
that's a heck of a story. Heck of a story indeed.
Heck yeah.
Moving on, Cristobal El Dorado. I know we're running out of time here. 8-point spread in favor of El Dorado hosting Cristobal. What are we thinking? Or is that did I put the wrong opponent?
Oh wait, I'm going to go with Cristobal.
Yeah,
It's on the road though, but I'm going to say Cristobal wins by 10.
and I'm going to say Cristobal wins. I think El Dorado is going to be a good team. I just want Cristobal to come out and get a win and get that, like we say, winning's infectious, confidence is contagious.
Yeah.
And I think if they get that win, it may set the tone for their whole season.
Yeah. Now, I too am going to pick the Cougars at Cristobal. I like the matchup. Yeah, I mentioned having stories of calling the game. Actually, one of my first games calling for Concho Sports Network was Cristobal hosting Forsen. So that was a heck of a game. I love the environment. Unfortunately, the Cougars could come out with the win that day, but the fans greeted me with open arms. I just enjoy the fan base. The environment there is very fun and friendly.
Incredible.
And so, yeah, I'm going to pick the Cougars. St. Saba at Grape Creek last year, 14-2 game. Grape Creek is a home underdog by 20 points. Thoughts?
I'll go with that. I'll go with San Saba by 20.
I'll go with the Dillas winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
Sorry, Grape Creek, but you're playing the Dillas.
These guys have been good over these last decade or so. They keep getting better.
I too will be taking San Saba. I'm going to skip this next one because I know Darren's probably going to have a whole thing about it. But Sonora Broncos, Miles Bulldogs. We do not have a spread for this one, as this one is added last second. But last year, Miles 32-14 win. Who do y'all think?
I think I got to go with Sonora.
Sonora all the way.
I got to go with Sonora simply because I think, they won last year. I just think that mystique is there, and I think is it in Sonora?
According to Dave Campbell's, it's in Miles again. Last year it was in Miles, and according to Dave Campbell's on the website, it is in Miles once again.
I was thinking it was in Sonora, so going to that stadium's an incredible place to play. It's an incredible place to call a game. Not a good place to produce a game if you're Damon because he stared at a brick wall all night. But it's a great place to call a game. The atmosphere, everything, and yeah, that comes into play. And I think Sonora will take it.
I'm going to be different. I will take the Bulldogs. I just got to be a little different. I think I've been picking along with y'all most of this to be a little bit different. And then we'll end with the Ice Bowl. Frost, Polar Bears at the Winters Blizzards. A 20-point home underdog are the Blizzards, despite being a 1-point ball game last year. What do we think?
The blizzard will die down and the polar bear just continues to live, unless the polar bear just lives so long it dies of old age. But it'll survive the blizzard and they'll win on the road. I'm sorry. I hope that Winters is playing Winter Wonderland a lot, but
that's right. That is their fight song. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think Frost. I think the polar bears have it. Now, ideally, I would like for it to freeze. Because it's going to be
hot. Is not being played in like late November.
Yeah, late November, something like that.
Where it's actually cold in Texas.
Right.
You remember, bears, brown lay down, black fight back, white say goodnight.
And with that, I too will be picking the polar bears.
Yep.
But all right. The sloth bear is smaller, but where they live, they have to fight tigers for food. So that may be the toughest bear of all. No, they wouldn't survive a blizzard.
How about you get a little research and then report it to us next week?
It wouldn't survive a blizzard, though.
But you know what? Darren at least knows a lot about what are they? Bears. Bears.
I mean, a lot on big creatures with fur.
Yeah, big creatures with fur. But hey, thanks for joining us. If you want something on us to put it on here, please send it. You can send it to Arlen at Concho Sports. It's Pixelcast Media, right? Arlen at pixelcast.media.
Or just find us on our socials, Concho Sports Network, Facebook, Instagram.
Concho Sports Insider. Go to the Insider
whatever
show.
Whatever works out, yeah.
Go to that. First show, we've all forgotten everything all summer long. You will see different people up here all summer, all season. It may not always be me up here calling the show. It may be one of these guys. It may be Mr. Ray, Rob Ray coming up. It may be... Who knows? It may be, Big Bird up here one day. You never know. So please join us. Email us. Let us know what you got. If you think we're idiots, go ahead and tell us. We don't mind that either. We've been called worse. But, it's all about the fun, and that's why we're doing it. And we hope you enjoy this great season that's about to kick off. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Enjoy that 3-day weekend. And...
got my Dublin line flip-flop.
There you
Dublin
go.
Lions, my hometown. And good luck to De Leon, too. They're ranked first in their district. My Lance Jones, one of my friends, got a kid playing, so good luck to them.
And good luck to Brownwood and Stephenville. Good luck to all the teams tomorrow night. For all of us here, I'm Arlen Ponder. He's Chad Miller. He's Darren Prater. And we will see you next weekend. Have a good week.